Welcome to the Iron Edge. I'm very excited for this week's guest. I mean, Arnold Champion. The list of accolades is endless. Inez Carrasquillo. Inez, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, the list of accolades and the period of time you've attained these accolades in strongwoman is pretty immense, to put it mildly. So, again, thank you for coming on. Obviously, we've been working together for a long, long time with Cerberus. Um, yeah, like, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Me too. So, I will just start off straight onto the deep end, and then we'll get into all the nitty gritty and how you got into strong women and early life and all that sort of stuff. But who are you today? Like, how do you sum up yourself today?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Well, I'm a pro, and I am Arnold Champion, two-time Rogue Champion. I've won North America's Strongest. I've won a lot of things, and um, I am like in contention for GOAT of Strong Women. That is like my goal. So like that's who I am. That's like who I'm trying to be, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then who are you? Like, what would you say if you defined yourself? Obviously, like you have the athlete side of you, and then you've got the mother side of you, the friend, and then who's that Inez? Like, how do you define that one?
Yeah, mom of a 9-year-old. He's gonna be 10 this year. And
Wow.
he just started doing some strongman stuff because he's a big boy. He's like, I think he's last time we checked, he was like 5'6", 5'7", 140 pounds, and wears a size men's 11 shoes. So it's pretty
Okay.
scary how big he's getting. Sorry,
Yeah.
my voice has been in and out for the last few weeks. And then, yeah, friend, I am a huge advocate for the sport. I am a judge. I judge so many local comps and host seminars and just try to get all the attention on strongman because
Mhm.
it's my heart and soul. Like from the nitty gritty, like my heart and soul is strongman, and I've been doing it for almost 6 years now, and it hasn't been a long time compared to like a lot of people that have been in the sport, but I've basically dove in and dedicated my life to revolving it around this sport. So
Mhm.
I feel like I can say that now.
No, I would fully agree with that. Um, I mean, I know people who followed you for a while will know this, but others who don't. You actually got started in powerlifting
I did,
before
yes.
strongwoman. So
In
what
20,
drove you to that? So,
uh,
so that was 2019, you said?
yeah, I started powerlifting in 2019. I just wanted to lose weight and I didn't know how to. And I was about 330 at my heaviest. And
Okay.
the doctors told me, like, hey, you have hypertension, you are pre-diabetic, you're not going to see your son make it through high school if you continue this trajectory of gaining weight like
Mm.
this. And that really scared me. And like my dad was very sick. He had, kidney failure. He was diabetic. And it really scared me to think like that could be me. And so I started just going to the gym. I started just messing around with the barbell again. Like I was trying to like
Mm.
remember like my old track workouts in high school, and I was like, oh God, this
Okay.
is bad. But I like to run, and so like I would just go on the treadmill a little bit and just lift weights, and lifting weights made me very happy. So this girl actually told me like you should try to power lift, and I was just like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And so I looked up powerlifting gyms in Chicago where I worked because I worked like close downtown, and I found a
Mhm.
gym called Rockwell Barbell. And I met one of my best friends to this day, Matt Blankenberger, who coached me in powerlifting for about 2 years until I switched over to Strong Woman. And I totaled 1,450 pounds at my last powerlifting meet. And I literally the next day was like, hey, Matt, I'm going to do strongman now. I'm going to sign up for a comp next week. And he was like, what? He was like, you're going to get invited to all the big powerlifting shows with this
Yeah.
total. And I was like, I'm bored. And when I'm bored, like, I don't want to do it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I was doing like strongman Sundays, like a few weeks
Mm.
prior just to like check it out and like hang out with people. And just like, I love the community around strongman. So powerlifting did not have that same feel for me as strongman did. And the fact that people were coming like every Sunday to like train together and like, you know, help each other out, load plates, like just like community aspect of it that really drew me into strongman. And I ended up switching, did my first local comp at the same gym. I won that show. And then I signed up for Beast of the Bluegrass, which was that Platinum Plus show in Kentucky, which got me my Arnold bid. And then from there, I did my next program with Victoria Long, got second to Victoria, and then OSG right after. So it was kind of like straight up, you know.
So in terms of like training and lifting and all that, you actually so you were first introduced by the sounds of it in high school with track and field.
Yes, we went to the weight room about 3 to 4 times a week, and it was like an upper lower split kind of thing, and we attempted to deadlift and stuff, but it was not good at all. There's a lot of girls on the team and a lot of boys, so we didn't really get all the individual attention like that we would necessarily need to like learn how to do those very technical lifts. And I remember like cleaning and jerking, and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself with this barbell. Like, this is not good for me. But and also in high school, I used to try to skip out every training session because I hated being in the weight room. Because, you know, there was like huge stigma in high school. There was like, be as skinny as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And if you know me now, I'm about 245 pounds, but in high school, I was like 175. I was tiny. Like, and nobody would believe me, like how small I was.
No, that's so hard to believe.
Yeah,
like,
I was very small.
Wow.
But I was a volleyball player and I did track. So like we had to be kind of smaller, but I was very tiny, but I loved to run and I loved like being athletic, and I loved, you know, I think powerlifting was difficult for me because I didn't move much. It was just like shortest distance you can move that barbell as possible, and then you're done. But with strongman, I was like, oh wow, we're running. I'm learning how to pick stuff up. I'm doing stones. And that was fun for me because I was like, I feel athletic again, and I needed that.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
What do you think changed from a perspective of, you know, being in the weight room as, you know, teenager where you didn't really want to be there and you know would skip it, to then being in a position where, you know, you went there, you seeked it out, and then it obviously, you know, became life. Like what do you think that sort of turning point was?
I think when I became a mom, I realized like I'm a role model now, and I really need to, you know, show my son like it's okay to take up space and it's okay to be you. And it's not about what everybody else thinks about you. And at first it was very difficult for me because I was like, oh no, people are going to look at me. People are going to, in my other podcast, I was talking about like, I used to go to the gym at 4 a.m. so no one could watch me because I was so nervous around people. And I did not want to be around other people when I was training because I thought they were judging me or staring at me, or like, you know, I was a big girl in the gym and I was like, think, you know, something of me. And I was very anxious about that. But I just started like, you know, transitioning my thought to I'm strong, and like, why not show off my strength? Why not be confident in my strength and, you know, show my son that it's okay to like be strong. It's okay to take up space. It's okay to be big, you know, as long as you're, you know, healthy and you're like eating right and you're doing the right things. Like some bodies are just meant to be bigger, you know, and I'll never be 175 again. I know that for very sure. Not happening. I'm the lowest body weight I've been in over 2-3 years now. You know, after Arnold and Rogue, I was in the 270s, 280s. So lost a lot of weight, but I was like, there's no way I'm getting back down to 175. And, you know, I'm still a big girl, 6'1". I've always been the biggest in my family on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, I was pretty small because my dad was freaking huge and everyone on that side of the family is really big. But, you know, my sisters are like 5'1", 5 foot tall. And I'm over here a foot taller than them, looking like sore thumb in the family. But so it was just like transitioning that thought to like, I know my son's going to be really big one day. You know, my dad was a very large man. And I know it's like easier for men to be bigger because you see idols like I'm wrestling, you know what I mean? Like you see these big characters and like men are like, oh, I want to be like that, right? But imagine a woman like that. It's, oh my God, why is she so big? Like women shouldn't be that big. And so I had to like really like shift my train of thought to like, I'm in the gym for a purpose and my purpose is the sport now. You know, I've gotten healthier where the point, you know, I'm not, you know, sick anymore. I don't have hypertension. I don't have all those things, but I want to be that girl to show other girls like it's okay to go to the weight room and be confident, and it's okay to like get muscle. It's okay. Like it's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world, and like you're going to feel more confident in yourself because you are strong on the inside and the outside. And I think that's very important for women to know.
No, fully agree with you. With you mentioned the thing about the going to the gym so early for the anxiety of it. Was that something that you felt like did lifting? I don't want to use the word cure, but did lifting aid that and help that like quite quickly for you, or was that like something that stuck with you for quite a long time, with the anxiety side of stuff?
I think when I was powerlifting, it was a little bit more difficult for me to, transition to like being like with the general population in the gym.
Mm,
But when I started doing Strongman Sundays, I really got out of my shell where I was like, I want to be around people, and like these people are very nice, and, like very helpful. And I feel like strongmen are always just trying to like get others to join them because it's like,
yeah.
hey, I want help, lifting these weights and like putting this stuff away. So come join me. Let's do it together. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, no one's being mean. No one's like being judgy. No one's like,
Mm,
I was lifting a log one day, and this was like my third time touching log. And they were just like so helpful. And they were like, hey, like try it like this and you're going to press more
yeah.
weight. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I fell in love with the log first. That was like my start of strongman was the log. That's why it's so near and dear to my heart. Cause like that was what I started with. And, yeah, and they just made me so comfortable around other people that I was just like, you know what, maybe like I'll start training in front of people like the rest of the week. I'm not going to come in at 4 a.m. And then it started becoming nights where the gym was the busiest. And I would train at night
Mm,
after work, bring my son to the gym with me, which was, if you're a parent and you take your kid to the gym, like I know how it is. I get it. It's like you're watching them, you're trying to do your set, you're watching
yeah.
them. And he was a baby too. He's like 3 or 4. So that was a rough time, but we would be at the gym till 9:30, 10 o'clock, at night when I was like training for bigger shows, and then wouldn't get home till
Mm,
11 o'clock. And then we wake up at 6 a.m. and do it again the next day.
yeah.
So, I think as time went on and I started meeting more people in the community, it like really helped me like get out of my shell.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like the training side of stuff also aided you from like a perspective of like, like the discipline of it and the confidence of it? Like um, what the word would be like almost like developing like or changing how you interacted with like fear to an extent of like fear of failure and all that sort of stuff. Like is that something that you dealt with any of those quote unquote negative emotions, you know, and then sort of built from through strength training, you change your relationship with those.
I think so. Yeah. I think as I started getting stronger and I started becoming like more well known in the community, it kind of really amplified the feelings of failure at first because I was like, oh no,
Mm,
like people are starting to know who I am. What if I disappoint them? But then it was
yeah,
just like, no, like these people are like nice to me and like I'm not disappointing them. Like they want to see me do well. So like that was motivation for me to work harder. And it was like motivation for me to like keep going, like during a lot of like dark times in my training and my history. Like I think training has always been a constant for me in the last few years. And I always like fell upon it when like if I had a bad day, I'll go to the gym and just walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes. And I tell people, I'm like, sometimes you need to just set a little goal in the gym for the day, like do some cardio or something. Like don't do a whole lift. Like get a bro
yeah,
lift in and just like leave, and you'll feel better afterwards. Like people don't understand like the power of going to the gym and just letting your mind settle for like an hour, being by yourself, putting your music on and just like being there. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone there is usually very like-minded, very similar goals. So like you're around people that are basically supporting you without supporting you, but like they get it. Everyone's got a goal in there.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
it's it's better than sitting at home and like thinking about things. Like I've always just said, go to the gym for an hour and just like knock it out.
Yeah, I think that's very important as well because and I feel like with what you were saying about like just go and walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes or do like a pump session or whatever. Like I feel like at least in my experience, I had a really hard time for a long time where if I had a crappy day or I started training and it felt off, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm out. I'll do this another day, and it sort of just throws everything off because then you're even more pissed off, whereas if you can reframe it and be like, okay, well, today doesn't feel great, so let's do conditioning, let's do whatever. I think that completely changes, how you actually like interact with training. Because for me, at least, it when I was competing like hard, it sort of became an expectation and a job for me, and I enjoyed it, but then I didn't enjoy it as well. Like I don't even know how to really sum it up in words properly. And I'm sure you can probably relate to it though.
Yeah, once it becomes a job, it becomes like a chore, and I
Yeah.
felt that way a lot in some of my training where it was like deadlift is always a chore for me. That's the
Mhm.
one lift where I'm like, I go in and I'm like, what are we going to miss today? Because I know I'm going to miss
Yeah.
something, whether it's a 10 reps or whatever, like I'm going to miss something. But Nico has really helped me like reframe my mindset where it's like, you're not always pushing, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to like really tell yourself, be honest with yourself and say, hey, what's the body feeling like today? And then what's your
Yeah.
mind feeling like? Like, are you thinking about stuff? Have you slept? Did you eat today? Like, this is your job. So did you do all the necessary things to like do your job right?
Mhm.
And if it's no, it's being honest with your coach and being honest with yourself and saying like, hey, today's not today, can I do something different? And that's when you and your coach make the decision to like switch up the course. Or
Yeah.
some days, like if I'm in prep, it's like, got to knock it out. You know what I mean? You got to suck it
Yeah.
up. You got to knock it out.
Mhm.
And like, that's where like mental fortitude comes too. Like being tough mentally is something that I've had to learn in the sport. Like I'm not mentally a very tough person in general. Like I'm a
Mhm.
very sensitive, emotional person, but like, Nico is really like, you got to be tough sometimes. And like, he'll give me tough love and he'll say like, hey, this is tough love, but you got to hear this. It's coming from me. So it's not a bad place. It's a good place.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and that's helped me like become just more mentally tough, like in situations like, for example, the Arnold this year. If I would have performed on that sled like I did like in previous years, like let's say I got fifth on the sled last year, I would have mentally like checked out and I would have wanted to go home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But after the sled, Nico's like, you got two more events, two very good events for you. We know your foot's not where it's supposed to be right now, but you had 6 weeks of prep. You knocked out the prep. You're running. So he's like, are you going to sit here and cry about this or are you going to get ready for log? And I was like, let's get ready for log. And that's just something I really had to learn how to do because it's hard when you're out there and like, you feel like you're disappointing people. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
in training, I did so well. But then you go out there and it's 1,300 pounds and you've never done that weight. And your hand gives out or your legs give it, whatever it is. And you're like, wholly humbled. Like, I am so humbled right now. And, for me, it was, damn, I have this nickname, the Dominator. And I almost didn't
Yeah.
finish the moving event. Like, that was like, you know,
I
so
think with that stuff, it's like this. It's like there's so. I think the mental side of the sport is so and underdeveloped is probably the best way to put it, is that there's so many athletes who will go out, have a killer performance, and then one event will go wrong, and then their entire show is gone.
yep.
And it's not, it's very prevalent, and it's interesting to me just how prevalent it is because you know, I mean, I've had it happen to me too. And I think most of us have. For me, with training, it was a case of like it's almost like, and I've said this before that I think I used training as a coping mechanism for like losing my father, and it didn't matter like what was on the card that day. Like I could get myself mentally to a position of being so like amped up or pissed off or whatever that I could get through any of it. And then for whatever reason, a bad event at a show could derail me at times, and it was just such a different, you know, dynamic. And it's something I try to talk to athletes about now because I'm like, you need to actually be ready for that because at some point in time, something's going to go wrong.
1000%. And like, especially like it's going to happen like on an event where you think you got this in the bag.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you're like, whoa, I zeroed something that like I've hit in the gym or something. But it's just like, sometimes it happens on comp day. And like, usually there's 6 to 8 events. And it's like, if you let one event determine your whole show, like you're not mentally ready to do that show, because in strongman, you have to be ready for anything. You have to be ready for promoters to change events, change weights. You got to be ready for your order to maybe not be changed. You got to wait for like something to happen. You know what I mean? And like the variables are what makes strongman fun, because it's just like, what's going to happen today? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, at the rules meeting, are we going to be switching to like an Atlas stone from a natural stone? Like, what's going to happen? But I just think like through the years, I've gotten better at that. And I've gotten better at like saying like, hey, this is not going to determine the athlete that you are. This is just one event of many. And, you know, like my deadlift, I walk into deadlift knowing I'm not going to be top 5. I'm not going to be whatever top 3, but damage control. What can
100%.
I do to possibly put myself in the best position possible and just do my best? You know what I mean? And not get hurt, because I love getting hurt. So we don't want to get hurt. But like, hey, I just think it's funny. Like, being mentally tough though has just been a very like big thing since Rogue for me. And, I think having my boyfriend there too, like Josh, he's great. He was backstage with me at Arnold, and he was kind of like the nice guy. And then Nico's kind of like, all right, you're too nice right now. Like, let's get her freaking mentally amped.
Yeah.
But it's like, and it's like, I love that like balance and that like contrast of just like, it's okay, love, to get your ass in there and let's warm up for log, you know, like get your head in it, you know? But I need that because I'm very sensitive and emotional. So I need like both sides of that. And having both sides of that, I felt great. And like even getting second at the Arnold, I lost by 1.5 points, which was, at first I was like, oh my God, like they're going to take my nickname for me. Like I am a disappointment. Like people are going to be like, what happened to her? Like, and then I was just like, you know what? Why would I think that? I just came back from foot surgery. I had a very short prep. I got cleared literally a few weeks before Arnold to even like do this. And like, I went from a 135 deadlift and then I pulled 585 at Arnold. So it's like, I cannot be upset about this. You know what I mean?
No, not even remotely. And I think that's something to sort of like remember for moving forward as well, is that, you know, when you actually really look at it all, like to come back from where you were after Rogue to this, pretty huge, to put it mildly.
And I won 3 out of 6 events. That's pretty sick. Like that's a good day in my book. Like 3 out of 6.
No, I fully agree.
And it's just, Olga is so consistent. Like she's so consistent, and it's like, it's admirable how just good she is at everything. And I look up to her so much because I'm just like, you're good at everything. Like, what are you bad at? Like, you're not bad at anything. Like, you're so good. Like, and I want to be at that point where I'm like, my deadlift is consistently at the top. Like, my moving events are there. My stones are there. My overhead's there. It's just deadlift usually tanks me, you know? And it's just something I got to get through, you know?
Have you spoken to Olga or other athletes to like sort of try and like get some of their perspectives and see how they like their approaches and all that sort of stuff? And, you know, not even in training, but just from a perspective of like the mental side of stuff. Because I feel like, I mean, obviously I've not competed in the new age, so to speak, but like there was always like a very at times it was like secret squirrel between athletes, and then other times it was very like integrated. So it's like trying to like almost like figure someone out and be like, well, how are you staying so calm here when shit's falling apart for you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, do you discuss any of that with other athletes? And be like, well, how do you like mental approaches and all any of that sort of stuff?
I think for the women, I don't want to speak for them, but like we kind of just like have such like mutual respect for each other, and like there's like some like unconditional like love between us, because like we're newer on the stage. We're not, you know, we haven't been on the Arnold stage for 20 years. We haven't been, we don't have World's Strongest Man. We don't have like all these Giants live shows. So we're kind of like the new faces on the block, and we have to like support each other. So like if someone has a bad event, we're all like there to be like, hey, like you did good. Like, don't keep your head out of it. You know what I mean?
The women's side of it definitely has a different feel, in my
Yes.
opinion. From being around it for so long, like it's been really refreshing in the last couple of years to see like one these bigger shows, getting the opportunity for these bigger shows, but then also how like that camaraderie and like the athlete dynamic is so different from the guys. Now, obviously, like the guys have camaraderie and they support each other and all that sort of stuff, but it just feels different.
I think we've become like a little family too, because like it's usually like the same like 10 to 15 girls like going to these competitions. So it's kind of like I say it's like our family reunion on media day. And
Mm,
it's like we have that respect for each other because we know what it's like to get to this point, and it's very hard for us to stay at this level, and we understand that. And we imagine like an injury on the women's side, you're kind of like screwed in a way. You know what I mean? There's
yeah,
not many qualifiers. You don't have many opportunities to make up points for like, an invitational or something. And it's like, if you're out, you're kind of like done, And like
yeah,
for the men, it's like, oh, I'll just make up 3 Giants live shows and this and this and this.
yeah,
And I got all these shows coming up. And it's like, cool. What about us? You know what I mean? It's like, so we get that about each other where it's like, we need to be tougher. You know, I could have left after breaking my face, in
yeah.
2024 Arnold,
Oh, yeah, God.
but I would have been forgotten in the strongman world. I really would have. But no, I said, no, I'm coming back. I'm good to go. I look crazy, but people are going to remember my face, and I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. And I feel like the women have that, like, that no quit that, like, a lot of the guys, like, a guy probably would like stub his toe and be like, whatever, I'm out of here. But like the women are like, no, like I got an arm cast on, about to do just dumbbell with my other arm. Like we're good. Like that's just how we are. We got that grit. We have that like spirit that's like, because we're newer to the sport, it's kind of like we have that like fire that's kind of been dulling down on, I don't want to speak for the men's side, but like,
No, I know what you mean, but it's almost
yeah,
like it's like you have to keep proving yourself, even though
yes,
like it's almost like this. It's such a weird, like sort of double-edged sword still, where it's a case of like the female side of it has fully been, accepted and ingrained, but then there's still parts where it's like, well, we have to prove. I feel like that Arnold's probably the one to that's the best example for this, where it's a case of like the Rogue, at least the prize money is exactly the same. The Arnold, it's still different. I mean, correct me if
very
I'm wrong,
different.
but I believe it's very different still. So it's like you're still like you've been accepted fully, but then there's still this part where you're like, well, we have to prove that we're worth, this monetary amount now. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just this very strange thing. But I think that's why it pushes you guys to one, enjoy it more, but then also really put on a show. Um, because I think it's fair to say now that the women are more closely watched than the men from a spectator perspective.
I
I
would
think
agree.
I think that's fair to say.
And like I heard after the Arnold, like that was a show. Like you guys put it all out there from
Mhm.
start to finish. There was no like giving up with anybody. Like we didn't even know what was going to happen because the first 3 were just like rotating.
Yeah,
You had no idea what was going to happen, which made it so exciting. Where it's just like it could be anybody's game, and you have 3 champions at the top 3. So who's going to get it now, and who wants it the most or whatever. And it's like, that's cool. It's not
yeah,
where like someone's 20 points in the lead and like
yeah.
you're fighting for second now, or like
Sure.
what's going to happen. And like, I don't know. I also think the women, we have like, we're very like relatable too, like in a sense where like
Mm,
a lot of us have, every single one of us except me right now have full-time jobs. We're, we're moms. We're normal people going to the gym every day and like trying to make a living, also going to world championships and going to Rogue and going to Arnold and like
yeah,
doing crazy things. But then you go home and you're just, you're working behind a desk or you're like,
yeah,
whatever you're doing, you know what I mean? So it's like people see us and it's like, we're so relatable. We're not these like big shot, like, celebrities. We're not like,
Hmm.
so I think like people watching us are like, I can do that. Like I can go to the gym and start strongman and be just like her. Or like,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think that's a really cool component, which makes us like not like marketable, but just like relatable. So like people want to watch that and they want to get inspired by people they can actually like, connect with.
yeah. No, I totally get it. You mentioned earlier about wanting to be able to like convey the lesson to your son of it's okay to take up space and all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that I think we still see quite a lot of is I'm trying to think of the best way to word it, like the the way that society like if you look at social media, for instance, you look at comments on a video from the Arnold or whatever. It's like people accept that there's all these big, larger than life, powerful women, but then it's like it's also that there's like spaces that don't understand that as well. If that makes any sense. Like, what do you think? Like one, why do you think that is? And two, how do we combat that, in your opinion?
It's just like trolls. Like I'm so used to it. I get
Yeah,
them all the time. And like even at like Rogue, when they put the men and the women together for the Viking press, there was comments like, I didn't want to watch the women. Like, why do I have to be forced to
yeah,
watch the women? Like, they need to be in their own little competition. So I don't have, it's like close one of your eyes and like get over it. You really had to make time to comment that. But like you, it's, it's because there's a lot of people out there that cannot accept that a woman could be stronger than them and a woman can
yes,
be, more in shape than them. A woman can be more than, a wife. A woman can be more than a mom. A woman can be more than
mhm,
whatever she does for her job or whatever. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. And so they resort to attacking us when, some of us are like, all of us are like the nicest freaking people you'll ever meet.
yeah,
Strongmen are so nice. We're just big teddy bears that like walk around, hug each other all day. But like, they don't know us personally and they see us and they're like, ew, like, what is she doing that for? Like, she's ruining her image or like whatever. I get a lot
mhm,
of weird comments or like men that like fetish size, like women our size. And it's just like gross. Like, you did not have to message me. You could have like kept that in your thoughts and never press send. But
yeah,
um, like I said, you got to be have tough skin as a woman in the sport.
mhm,
Another mental toughness thing was I used to be upset about comments. Last year at the Arnold, I got comments like, wow, she let herself go. I'm holding a trophy next to Arnold and I let myself go. And people were like, you just have to like get over it. People are always going to talk about you. I get
yeah,
called a bad mom for going to the gym. I get called a bad mom for not posting my son on social media a lot. But I'm like, people are weird out there. You don't want your kid's face all over the internet. Like I'll post
no, I
sometimes, but
fully
like
agree.
on my timeline, people save videos, people save pictures. I don't want pictures of
Mhm,
my son saved all over the internet. But I've been
yeah,
called a bad mom for that. And I've really had to like tell myself, hey, the opinions of strangers on the internet do not matter. Like,
yeah,
yeah, they matter in a sense where like they're your supports. That like these guys are the ones paying for tickets to come watch you. But like
sure, yeah, yeah, yeah,
at the end of the day, like their opinions of you don't matter. Like the people that love you will never talk to you that way. And
yeah.
you know,
Well, it's also like, yeah, okay, like, they may pay, the for the tickets or the live stream or whatever it may be, but just because they're paying to watch a sport doesn't give them full access to every part of your life. And that's the thing. And it's like if you're like look at other professional athletes. Look at football, like football, like NFL football players, soccer players, you know, any professional female sports from Olympics or whatever. No one's putting their entire life out there and being, dictated to that they need to do this. So it's such a weird thing in strength sports to then have this almost like there's almost times where there's like an ownership of an athlete, if that makes any sense. And I'm
yeah,
not sure where that came from because I don't feel like it used to be that way. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it's necessarily just strength sports. I think it's social media in general. and that's the biggest thing. It's a fantastic tool, but it's also one of the worst things around. It's just such a polarizing thing.
I literally said, like, the day I retire from strongman, like, Instagram is gone. Like, I'm going to be done with
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? Like, for a while, I'm going to take a big break from it because it's just
Yeah,
like I'm constantly like message and like it's not like I'm complaining or anything. I love being able to be a support for people, but like I feel like a therapist a lot of the time.
yeah,
And it's like I feel like people come to me because they're like, hey, this is going on in my life. Like, what do you recommend? And I'm like, do I know you? Like, have I talked to you
yeah.
before? And they'll be like, no, but I just see your posts and like very motivated and inspired. And I'm like, okay, like I get it, but it's like mentally taxing, to like be that for so many people all the time. And like I pride myself in like making sure I respond to people, starting the sport, especially like I know it's not my place, but at the same time, like I have ownership over growing the sport because I want
Mhm.
women to be paid the same. I want women to have their own shows at Giants Live and whatever, I
Yeah,
want women to have that. And I feel like if no one's signing up for the sport and no one's paying for the tickets, no one's like caring about the women, why would we ever get anything, That's why
hmm,
we got to pump out content. We got to freaking market ourselves. We have to like talk to the fans. We have to do meet and greets. We have to do seminars. We have to like chug out all this stuff because it's like that's how we get to that level where we're so marketable that people are like, no, we're going to pay the women $100,000 because
yeah,
everyone's here to see them. And
yes,
I'm technically like one of the first full time strong women, and I'm like, that's my goal, and that's kind of like my purpose right now. I feel like is to be able to help contribute to that and help
hmm,
grow that side. And I I try to advocate for as many women as I can, and I really try to like be that support. And it's taxing though. I admit it's
oh
pretty.
yeah, no, I mean it's awesome that you have that sort of outreach and
Yeah.
that like people are comfortable enough to reach out to you about it. But I can definitely see where that taxing side of it comes from.
Yeah.
To wrap up like the women in sport type of stuff, how do you personally define like strength as a woman in not just from a perspective of like a strength athlete, but like as a woman, like what is strong and strength to you?
Um, I think the biggest thing about the women's strength is just putting ourselves out there in front of people in a world where like we were always told like be small. We were always told like be quiet, like we're always told like, don't have crazy hair, don't have makeup, don't have this,
Hmm.
don't do this, don't do this. And it's like we're unapologetically like doing everything we were told in society to stop doing and to don't do. Otherwise you will not be appropriate for like, these settings or whatever. And the strength in the women are that we go out there and we're just unapologetic about who we are. We're unapologetic about how we act. Well, and we're just unapologetic about our strength abilities, physically. And I think that just it speaks to like our mental, game that we are just like we go out there and we lay it all out and like we cry together at the end sometimes because we're just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like that was, emotional because we had no idea how it was going to go, and and to get to do that with like the same women and like we know each other, we've seen each other, we've seen our strengths, we've seen our weaknesses, and just do that together. I think that's just the women's strength is just we're unstoppable, and like
And I think it's
people
yeah,
really
and I think like
chance.
and I think that's the thing, like being able to like have those experiences and then people see them as well. It's like it changes what they one how they view physically strong, and then it changes how they view themselves as well. I think having the women in the sport has changed so much from a societal part of female what would the word be um like just I feel that there's, and please correct me if you feel differently. Like I think there's a part where it's a case of like this in the last 5, 6, 7 years has changed what is it's like the 4 minute mile. it's become this thing of people like view it and they're like, wow, that is actually possible. We can actually have all of this. And it's really changed sport and society as a whole, I think.
Yeah. And we continue to like push the bar. We continue to, there's records being broken every year by Lucy, every deadlift. Every year she breaks it. It doesn't matter. It's just Lucy is going to break that record and we know what's going to happen. And then like, you know, me on the overhead, we got AJ pushing me, Olga pushing me. We got Sam on the dumbbell. And it's just like, whoa, like I remember hitting a 200-pound log a few years ago was a big deal. Now everyone's trying to break 300. I want to be the first woman to break 400. And I think I can. One day, that is the goal. I told Nico that is my ultimate goal. If I hit that, we're going to be happy campers. But like, I hit a 385 barbell out of the rack. So I'm like, I know I can press big numbers. It's just that clean will kill me. But you never know, you know, one day I'll be strong enough to do that. But it's like, I think Lucy's going to break 800 pounds on the deadlift. That's going to happen. And that's going to be insane because I remember when I started powerlifting, 405 was a huge deal. And then 500 was like, you are elite international. You are the best deadlifter in the world. Now, if you're not pulling 600, you're not even in the top 5, you know, for the women in the world. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy. And now they're cracking 700, 800.
It's really, like to even contemplate like those numbers. There's points in time where, like, again, you know, a 400 log was the men's world record at one point in time. Like, to even have a conversation where you're uttering that being the goal is sort of inconceivable. Like, if you'd realistically, if we're honest about it, like if you'd said to somebody, you know, 10 years ago, at some point in time, there is going to be a female strength athlete who is talking about aiming to hit a 400-pound log, they would have said you were high.
Yeah.
And it would never, ever happen. That 200 was the limit or 250 was the limit. Like, it just wasn't a thing. And it's just to be able to see some of these advances in not even advances in the sport, but just like the progression is just insane. And it's like, yes, the men are progressing, but it's nowhere near the speed of the female side of it. Like, what do you think that's the, you know, is it like, what do you think the difference is? You know, is it a case of like, you guys are seeing these things and it's like, oh, wow, you know, well, we just hit this. And obviously there was a time in strongman, especially when it came to the Arnold, where, you know, the weights got pushed up and pushed up and pushed up because essentially Terry Tubb has been like, here's the biggest challenge you'll ever face. And they walked it. Okay, now here's the biggest, we're not up it again. Here's the biggest challenge. And they walk it. Like, but there became a limit to that because guys started getting screwed up. Yeah. What do you think the difference is with the female side of stuff? Because it's like, yes, there is injuries, but the progression of the female side of the sport is ungodly right now.
I think that promoters are not afraid anymore to push us. Like, you know, that sled was really heavy this year at Arnold. And like, it took a lot of people out, but at the same time, people finished it. And then AJ finished it in like 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, they were able to be pushed because nobody really knows like what those limits are yet. Like for the men, we have an idea of like the top men are going to be able to press this, you know, on a day they should be hit, you know, rule of thirds, whatever. Like, you know, 3 of them will hit 10 reps, 5 reps, 0, whatever. The women, they're like, I don't know, you know, like some years we've only been doing this for so many years. So it's like, we're kind of hidden or missing here. So it's like, I think with us, they're able to kind of push it because they don't truly know yet what that limit is, because we know it's going to get heavier as the women. And so we're training really hard because we know next year at the Arnold, it's not going to be 270 pounds anymore. They're going to give us a 300 because me, AJ, and Olga hit it for like 6 reps, 7 reps. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think we're like biting ourselves in the foot a little bit because we're like, we're going out there and we're like putting on a show and we're like, oh yeah, this is great. And the next year they're like, we're going to add 100 pounds to that stone. You guys are not doing that again, you know? But then we're like, oh, no, we trained for that. Like, we're ready for that now. We're hungry for that, you know? And I just think, we are underestimated as women in society usually for our strength abilities. And like, I feel like we would constantly have like something to prove with ourselves and like a sense where it's like, they think that we're going to zero this. So let's hit it for 5 reps. You know what I mean? Or, I think that the overhead medley at Rogue was a great example. Like Andrea Thompson's like strict pressed that axle for like 5 or whatever, 4 or 5. And it's like, I went out there split jerk it, on my foot. It was not a great split jerk. And nobody follows that form at all, but it was what I had to do on the day. And then we had AJ hitting like 4 reps on it. We had Olga hitting 4 reps on it. It was like, oh my God, like it's crazy to see the different strengths of the women and how different builds we are too. So it's like, you can never tell what someone looks like, how strong they're going to be. Cause it's like someone that's like 5'6" pressing, 300 pounds and I'm 6'1" over here pressing same thing. We just don't know. And I think now that they're getting more data on us, they're kind of like seeing how we are as athletes and like trying to like figure out like what is an appropriate weight and like what do we want the women to do? Because if we make it too heavy, we're going to get comments like, oh, that's a boring show. They're all zeroing it. But if it's too light, we get, oh, I could do that in my sleep. Like I did that on the couch yesterday. And it's like, where's that happy medium where it's like, that's impressive. And I don't think I could do that, but it's also a struggle for us, because we want to be pushed too. We don't want to go out there and hit it for 20 reps. We want to go out there and like, struggle with it a bit. I thought the Viking press was a little too light at Rogue, but it's like, I'm good at overhead pressing. Everything else was freaking heavy. I was like, some events are going to be lighter for others or whatever, but it's like a deadlift being 500 pounds for reps. Lucy, that's all day. Like, she can hit that for 20 reps too, but it's like I would hit that for 3. You know what I mean? So it's just like we're so different as athletes. It's just crazy to see like where we all fit in every event, and they gotta push us, but they can't push us too hard where it's like a snooze fest,
Yeah, and then there's also like the side of it where it's like, okay, you push too hard and things start breaking, and because then especially with it being a smaller pool of athletes. Like if you push too hard and a bunch of girls get injured, you can't then replace that field, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
Whereas with the men, like, okay, you might not, quote unquote, replace the top guys, but you can at least fill spots and still have a good show. There's not that many women who are really pushing the envelope. And I think that's what makes it exciting, is that it really is a unique time to be a female strength athlete.
Yeah. And like, like you were saying, like you could find 50 reserves for like world's strongest man. But like for the women, it's like, how many reserves are there really that could hit a rep at all these, different events,
Yes.
And have enough time to prepare for it. Like, there's not many that could do that. And it's like, that really shows like how far ahead, some of, the top, let's say 20 women in the world are, to the world of strongman. It's just like, we're so like, I think we've just been pushed so hard in these competitions that we became our own level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like not a dig at anybody else. It's just like, once you hit that level, you have to maintain that level and push it even higher every single year.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I tell Nico, I'm like, every prep, my body breaks down 1-2%. It's like chipping away at it. My knees are going, my elbows are like chipping away, but it's because it gets harder every year. The competition gets harder. We're hungrier. We're trying to like make something of ourselves in the sport. So it's just like a dog fight, but we love each other. So it's not like a dog fight, but I think that's what makes the women so freaking exciting though. It's like, we have that like, that fighting spirit that like, we're earning this. It's not given to anybody, cause like next year they could replace half the field. We don't know, like there's girls coming to OSG, Arnold's amateur. Like there's so many like things popping up. PSL, like can some middleweights pop up like Mel and Sam and hang with the big girls? We don't know, but there are some girls out there that do hang with the big girls, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and with the men, the open men, it's just like, if you're not an open, like you're in your weight class. Like there's not a lot of 105s that could bump up to open and be like,
no, it's not very common.
So it's just kind of crazy how like women of every size are coming out and being like, Sam can press a 200-pound dumbbell. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
she's half my size. Like that's
Mhm.
crazy, you know, and that 195 almost took me out, but it's like, it just blows my mind. And that's literally though what makes us so exciting. We just don't know.
Yeah, no, I would fully agree with you on that one. So you said earlier that I mean, you're fully in now. Like strong woman is the career. When did you make that switch, and then how has that changed like your approach? Because obviously, when you have a full time career and you're trying to balance it all, it's pretty damn hard. So when did you make that switch, and then how have you felt that's changed things?
So after Rogue 2024, I worked maybe 2 more months, and there was just a part of me that was like, you know what? I want to quit, and I want to try. And I made
Hmm.
100 something thousand dollars, and I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do it, it's right now. And I was just
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm just gonna do it, and whatever happens, happens. I hated my job anyways. I wanted to quit. I love you guys if you're listening to McMaster. I love you guys, but like I hated the job. So I was just like, I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was just like, I don't want to go to the gym at night anymore with my son. I don't. I
hmm,
don't want to like, I don't want to be here at night. I don't want to like drive an hour here in traffic. I'm driving downtown. Like it sucks. And I was miserable. And I was just like, I'm
yeah,
gaining weight because I'm eating fast food. I'm like, I'm just not happy, you know? So I'm like, if I'm going to
hmm,
do it, I'm going to go all in. And I just said, hey, I quit, put in my 2 weeks in, and I'm going to do this strong woman thing full time. And I'm going to really dedicate myself to doing seminars. I started my coaching business. I was coaching for a while, but like I really like opened up my coaching, you know, and doing, you know, seminars in my gym. I'm doing coaching in the gym. I'm doing one-on-one. I'm doing team coaching. I'm like, I have a team, my 19-year-old athlete, we calls us the Immortals. And I think it's the coolest thing ever, but it's like, I got 19-year-olds in the gym now because of me, and he
yeah,
loves strongman. And it's like, I just said, you know what? If I want to do good at Arnold and Rogue again, I like really need to dedicate my life to this because
hmm.
I know how hard it is. I know being behind the wheel 4 hours a day in traffic is not
It's
going to
tough.
make me
Yeah, it's
the
huge.
strongest woman in the world. It's really not. So yeah. And then Arnold was my first prep that I was basically full-time strong woman. And then I won Arnold, and I was like, you know what? I knew it. It was worth it, you know?
Mm,
And I could just continue to, you know, coach and whatever through the summer. And then I did some seminars. I kind of just like make money around here, around there, whatever. And then I was like, once Rogue Prep started, I was just like dialed into Rogue, and I have all the time in the world to dedicate. It's really nice not having a time constraint on deadlift.
yeah,
Let me tell you, you know, when your son's rushing you to get out of there and you're like, I got to deadlift 600 today. I got to warm up for like 2 hours. Leave me alone.
yeah.
But I get it. That's hard on a child. It's very difficult
Hmm.
to be in a gym, do your homework. Like, and I felt bad. I have a lot of mom guilt for the years that he spent with me
Mm,
at the gym. But I always said, like, one day he's going to look back and be like, I got to be with my mom when she struggled so hard, you know, to make something of herself and to have a name in the sport. And now she's the strongest woman in history. Like, that's where all the mom guilt goes, is to like the hopes of like that thought being in his mind one day. And I'm like, he's the only one that's seen every single one of my struggles since day one in the sport. He's the only
yeah,
one that's watched me cry in the car because I've missed something. He's the only one that's like, he's been there through everything, you know, and like that motivated me to be like, let's do this full time and let's like really focus and like, let's really dedicate it. Cause I'm like,
mm,
we did this so many years, you know, half-assing everything. I was tired of
yeah,
half-assing it because I'm like, I know I could be something. I just need time. I need to really focus on my diet. I need to focus on recovery. I need to focus on like just putting myself in the sport, and like to be able to have that opportunity after Rogue. I'm like, I'm going to be passing up the opportunity of a lifetime if I don't just do it now. And so I did it, and it's been hard. I'm going to tell you, like, paying for my surgery out of pocket, not having health
yeah.
insurance. It's hard. Like, it's not a glorious, glamorous lifestyle that some
Mhm.
people may say it is, you know, being self-employed. It's just being self-employed at the end of the day. It's
Yeah,
hard. You got
that's
to worry
really
about
hard.
your expenses. You got to worry
Yeah.
about your travel. You got to worry about, you know, everything. And, you know, I was a single mom for many years. So it's like, I've had to find babysitters. I've had to like take my son with me, across the world and drag him with me just to do the things that I do. So it's like, but I never take it for granted. Like I got to do all these great opportunities and like, yeah, I struggled to get there a lot of times, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade it in for anything because that made me who I am today. And that got me to where I am today. And that's just a blessing in itself, and I could never be upset about that. And through all the mom guilt, through all the times where like I've bawled my eyes out of the car because I'm having a terrible day, I had a terrible lift. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not even through my deadlift yet. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I chose to do this. I get to do this. Like there's a lot of people out there that would love to trade spots with me, and like, it's a blessing that my body's able to do the things that I do because there's nobody in my family that could do the things that I do. And my sister reminds me all the time, she's like, you're the only one that's ever going to be able to deadlift over this. You know what I mean? Like you're the only person that could do that. And it's like, you get to show your son like the possibilities of like what's possible if you really dedicate yourself to something. And that's special. I don't take that for granted.
And I think that, like you said, like that side of it is like being a dad now. Like there's a part of me where I'm like, okay, like there's like listening to you say that, I'm like, wow, like yeah, okay, it's been a struggle, but the cool thing I think with your son is like he's seen it all and he understands it more. But then it's also like you're giving him an opportunity to go and see like, all these different places in the world. Like not many kids get that, and it's like he sees these different things, meets these different people, he sees the way you are, like what makes you like even just seeing a parent happy. I mean, I'm sure that there's so many things where studies and all this stuff where it's like when they're talking about like kids in homes where the parents fight and how detrimental that is. And then I sit and think about like even just when you were sitting talking there, I was like, him just seeing you happy and seeing you achieve and seeing you chase these things, like what that does for his development is probably more than you actually can even contemplate. And I think that's the really cool part, and the hope of him having these thoughts of like, oh, well, my mum did this and she did that, and she is this, she has this quote unquote title. I think that's all very good, but I think the things that you don't think about are the things that's going to impact him most, and that's what's going to drive him to be so successful in his life as well.
Yeah. It's just like that guilt, you know what I mean? Of just like, I did this, but it's like, the end of the day, like single moms understand, like, single dads, whatever, like it's hard. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. And we put our dreams on the back burner a lot of the times for our kids. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what? If I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it because I'm not getting any younger. I'm not, getting, I'm getting stronger, but it's like,
sure,
I'm not getting any younger and I can't start this when I'm 40 and he's out of the house, Yeah. I got to do this now and I got to do it the right way because I don't want to half-ass it anymore. Because
you don't want to regret it either, because that's the other thing. Like yes, there's maybe some regret from a perspective of, oh well, he had to come here and he had to do this and homework in the gym or whatever, but there's a bigger worry or a bigger impact that you not chasing something that makes you happy would potentially have on him.
Yeah. And you have to have hobbies. You have to have, like, as a parent, like you're a new parent, that's, it's the hardest thing in the world. Cause you're like, your whole life changes, and you're like, everything's about your child. And I felt like, oh man, like I just need something for myself, cause I was gaining so much weight and stuff. Cause I was just like, every day was just about me being a mom. And then when I started really going to the gym, I like felt like an individual again. And that sense of being an individual really helped my confidence. It really helped my sense of importance, because I just felt like I'm here for one thing, and that's just to nurture and take care of this child. And, I don't have any hobbies. I don't have a life. But then now it's like, no, I want to go out as an adult and have friends And, my boyfriend and I like to go out. I like to do things for myself. I like to paint. I like to do all these other things. And it's like, I would never
Mm.
have done that if I did not start going to the gym and making that first step of doing something for myself, to
It's
tell
so
mom.
wild. It's so wild just how like one little thing can change absolutely everything. You know?
And like cascade into like just going to a commercial gym to like being one of the strongest women in the world. Like that's who would have thought?
Yeah, right, no shit.
It's crazy. I
um
never expected it.
yeah. No, so like what's a typical day for you now? Like in terms of like how do you structure days and like from a perspective of obviously you've got the coaching side of stuff, you've got the training side of stuff, recovery, and then leading into the relationship, leading into the family, um, with your sister and mom and son and all that. Like where's the balance point nowadays? Because obviously it's changed drastically since you were working, like
Yeah,
working a full-time job at least.
yeah. But coaching's basically a full time
It's
job.
massively, yeah.
Yeah, you get texted all times of the
Mhm.
day. It's not 9 to 5. It's like 6 a.m. because I got girls in Scotland and Ireland now till like midnight sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it just depends.
Mhm.
And I pride myself on not taking on too many people where I can like really give a lot of focus to the people that I have. And, if I'm in the gym, like I have to tell sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm not here to coach. I am here to get my training done.
Yeah.
Once I'm done with my
Yep.
training, I have time after, but like I got to knock this out.
Mhm.
Um, and it was like setting boundaries of my time because like I always felt like, oh, I gotta like be here for this. I gotta be here. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
you train on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays or whatever it is. Those are your training days. Let your team know they're gonna be okay with that. Like they're not gonna be
Yeah. Oh
mad,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so just like structure your day with like, hey, this is my schedule today. If you want to stay till after and work with me, I'm available.
Mhm.
But then it's
Mhm.
like I meal prep. I gotta freaking, my son is picked up and dropped off at certain times. Like, I gotta do all that. I gotta whatever. And then at night, I'm like, hey, once like Josh is home and Lamar's home, like I'd like to like spend family time, and I really like to
Yeah.
like try to put my phone down and really like focus on my family because it's like I'm moving all day, and it's like I need a
Yeah.
break too from like being on my phone, from like social media, from like
Mhm.
whatever. And it's funny because we just turn on YouTube and it's just basically social media for like the TV, but um it's just nice to like decompose, and I try to like decompress every night like that because I'm like I will burn out real fast if I'm just
Yeah.
like hustling all day. But like there's some days where I have to do that and I'm like, sorry, but most days I'm like, no, I set a hard boundary like 7 p.m. That's like our family time, and like that's my time, and I need that time to like get ready for the next day because it's like as soon as I wake up at 6, it's like
Yeah. Let's go
nonstop till
again.
that time
Yeah.
again. And I think people don't take coaches seriously sometimes because they're like, oh, you just coach online, whatever. And it's like,
Mm.
I'm a therapist. I'm a nutrition. Like I tell
Yeah.
people to get on their nutrition. I tell people when to go to the gym. I tell people what to do at the
Mm.
gym. Like, and some of these people are going to nationals. Some of these people are doing their first local comp. You got people ranging, different skill levels. And it's like, you got to know your people. That's a full-time job in itself. Is just like, whatever. And then I train. That's another full-time job on top of it because
Yeah.
I'm in the gym 4 5 hours every day, working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and Nico is able to program stuff like that for me now because I have the time to do that. So
Mm.
I tell him like, hey, I got like 5 sets of 10 squats, 5 sets of 10 front squats, 5 sets. Like I got a lot of stuff to do today. So it's like, but I'm able to do that. I'm very thankful. And then weekends, I train Sundays with my team, and my boyfriend comes and trains with us. And it's like a nice little gym thing where we're all together. And then Saturdays, I'm like out of the gym, and it's just like free from anything strongman,
From
usually, unless
everything.
I'm doing a
Yeah.
seminar or judging. But I try to
Sure.
keep my Saturdays to like myself.
But you need that though. I mean, like this. So you're so it's probably similar to like me with Cerberus, where it's a case of, you are so involved in the sport that it's almost overwhelming at times, especially when then you add in your own training, helping other athletes, coaching, judging. There's so many parts of it you just need to be able to like literally like put the phone down and go for a walk, go outside, do whatever makes you happy that's not related to the sport. Um, because then you can actually enjoy it, and it doesn't become a job, because realistically, like, if it is all you do, then it is your job, you know?
Mhm. Which I don't mind, but at the same time, it's like I have to have other things going on just because it's like, I don't know. I get so like, what's the word? Like hyper fixated on things sometimes where
Mm,
it's like I frustrate myself because I'm like, I need to be doing this all the time. Otherwise, I'm going to be, not supporting so and so, or I need to be doing this. Otherwise, I'm not a good friend, or like, and then I
yeah.
get so mentally like focused on that I'm like, damn, I missed my training session today or something. Or like, because I was so busy focusing on something. And it's
Mm,
like, I got to prioritize, training. There's things I have to prioritize, and that's just, something that's just been really hard, to do. But that's just how I get with myself sometimes. And I know that. But now that I know that, it's like I'm able to tell myself, step back, what are your priorities for the day?
mhm.
If it's not a priority, forget about it. You know what I mean? Like you have to move
Yeah.
on. And that's a really
Yeah,
hard
and
thing for people to, learn to do.
that's been something that's hard for me at times, where like okay, I need to train at X time, and then something will happen with work or whatever, and before I know it, it's basically training time. You're like, oh, fuck, and then like and then I come to train, and I'm like, I can't switch that focus, and it's such a challenge at times. Um, you know, to slowly wrap things up here, what advice would you give somebody then for, like advice that actually matters and actually can help them, whether it's, training related, life related, family, whatever. Like, what is the advice that you have for somebody that's really life changing?
Um, I would give the advice of don't let it get to a point of a wake up call. Let it,
Mm,
if you know something's wrong, like deep down, I knew I needed to lose weight, but I waited to the point where it became a wake up call of a scare almost, where it was
mm,
like, whoa, like that's crazy. For me to really get into gear and like change my life around. If you know something is wrong, look for help now. Do not wait for it to become something so monstrous, like the biggest thing ever, for it to blow up, for you to change something, And there's
mhm.
so many resources out there. Like I love to say I'm a resource, but like, you know, join a gym, join anything like that you can do to make a hobby and like to have something for yourself. It's so important. But I think being in the gym and just moving is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And my biggest advice is even if you don't have time, you have 10 minutes to walk around the block
Yeah.
or on a treadmill, power walk in your house, go on the
Mhm.
stairs, something, but move, 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 because you don't want to sit your life away where you're just, you know, you're regretting in your 50s that you're like, I can't walk or I can't do this or like,
Mhm.
I lost my dad when he was in his 40s, and I lost my dad a few years ago, but I was just like, my dad would want me to like, push forward, and my dad would really want me to like not make things into like a wake up call for me to change things. So
Yeah.
like, that's really where my advice is just if you know something's wrong, fix it now. Try to fix it.
Mhm.
Make the steps to fix it and find the right people around you that can make that a possibility. Don't do it by yourself. Find a community. There are communities online. There are communities in your like your area, like on social media, whatever. But like, don't feel like you got to take everything by yourself either. That's a big thing about me too. Is I feel like I got to take everything on or I'm a
Yeah.
burden to other people. But it's like people love you and you are loved. Like someone out there loves you a lot. And like if you're struggling, just get the help you need and like just do it. And it's not a burden to anybody. Like I think it's just so important that like physical health is very important to me, but like your mental health is just as important as like your physical health. So
If not more, because realistically, if you don't have the mental side of it, you can't have the physical. If
yeah,
you're paralyzed by fear or depression or whatever feeling, then it really throws everything off, and you're sort of screwed at that point in time.
100%.
So obviously, I've got one more question for you. So obviously, you you operate in a lot of high pressure situations, whether it's, work, coaching, training, competition. Um, what does pressure treat you to like how does pressure teach you today, and like how do you learn from each of these situations, and what's the advice for someone to not not steer away from a high pressure situation but actually lean into it?
So I say pressure is a privilege. And that's like a mindset that I've really had to like frame myself around, because it's like I get to be in a situation where I'm pressured to be one of the best in the world. And, whether you're coming up from, a local comp to nationals or regionals or whatever, first OSG, like that pressure that you feel is such a privilege, because there are people out there that do not get to do the things that we get to do. And I feel like it's almost a blessing, because I get the feeling of, the pressure, but it makes me a better person. It makes me a better athlete, makes me a better competitor. And then that pressure gives me respect for everyone around me, because they feel that same thing. And I know what that feels like. So it makes you a better friend. It makes you a better partner, better parent. And it's like, my son's going to be in situations, he's to play football this year, where he feels that pressure to, be at practice and like, be at the games on Saturday. And like maybe the teams, he's the biggest kid on the team. They're going to be looking at him like, hey, you better help us, kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's the biggest kid up
Yeah.
here. So it's like he's going to feel a lot of pressure just by his size alone. And it's like, when I tell him, like, hey, it's a privilege to be in your body. There are a lot of bodies out there that don't get to move. There are a lot of bodies out there that don't get the same opportunities that our bodies get where we're healthy. And like, it's a privilege to get that experience.
Yeah.
And use that, and you make the best of it. Like, you can either let the privilege crack you and like you just wither away and don't come back, or you let it elevate you. You step up to that next level. And if I let the pressure let me crack at my first OSG, I would never have showed back. I tied for third and I got fourth. First time in my life I never podiumed on something. That was a big hit to my ego. But the pressure of, hey, are you coming back next year? And I was like, oh, I get to come back next year? And they're like, yeah, you're top 10. I was like, oh, like that's my next thing. Like, I'm looking forward to that. And like, that pressure helped me win the Arnold Amateur. That got me on the pro stage, So it's like all these things lead up to better things. And like, you got to let the pressure mold you into that better person, into that better athlete, or whatever that you're trying to do. So that's what I think.
I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, to wrap it up, where can people find you if they want coaching, just to follow your journey, all that sort of stuff? Tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram usually. I am always online, chronically online, according to my friends. Inez_pro strongwoman. You can follow me on there, message me, whatever. My website for coaching will be up hopefully next week.
Nice.
I'm making it myself, so I'm not very technically advanced, so we're trying here. But if you're looking for coaching, or you need help getting pointed in a coaching direction and need like help, like love to help you out there. Like I, have coaches to recommend, like in person, whatever. So if you need help with that, if you just want to get into sport, I will help you get into sport. And then I have a YouTube channel that will start posting very soon. That's very exciting. I'm very nervous, but
okay,
it'll be fun. I'm doing Come Back to the Crown is my series for North Americas. Ooh, because I got second. Okay. So I want to like come back to my first place crown for North Americas and then Rogue again. And then, I'm on TikTok, but like I don't really post a lot. And if I post on Instagram, it's probably on TikTok, but wherever you want to find me, I'm there. So I'm around.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. And I'm excited to see the prep from North Americas.
Let's do it. Max log, baby.
Ooh. Okay, before you go, what number are you calling?
340.
Okay. Perfect.
340.
I like it.
That's the goal. We'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll all be watching. Thanks, Inez.
Yes. Thank you.